What's your favorite scary movie?
The Babadook. It's an amazing meditation on motherhood and grief.
Isn't that a little fancy pants?
Well, it's elevated horror.
After the release of Scream 4, which underperformed in the theaters, with only 96 million in the box office, we would not get that planned trilogy at that time. The Weinsteins would focus on TV, and there would be a TV show which lasted 2 seasons. Well, 3 seasons. It would have a 3rd season that would take a little bit more time and turn out to be terrible. The first 2 seasons also had a Halloween special episode, so we wouldn't get a movie for a very long time. It would take 11 years, from 2011 to 2022, and a lot of things would happen in between. Throughout Scream 1 to Scream 4, the Weinsteins had full control over the franchise. They would lose that control during that time, with different kind of allegations and trials and legal stuff that I won't get into here. But they would lose a lot of IPs, and Scream would be one of them. And Spyglass Media would go in and get the rights. This would happen in 2019, and it wouldn't take long before we got an announcement about the Scream 5. Well, it's called Scream Only Scream, but it's actually Scream 5. The movie was planned for a 2021 release, but it was released in January of 2022. It would kind of be a fresh start while keeping the original cast intact, similar to Scream 4. But the difference this time around would be that it would have a new lead. Sidney Prescott wouldn't be the main character. It would instead be Sam Carpenter, played by Melissa Barrera. But we would have Sidney, Dewey and Gale in assisting roles. A passing of the torch, kind of, but it would do it in a better way. Even though I don't really think Scream 4 was meant as a passing of the torch, the plan was a lot different for that trilogy. But Scream 5 would do it in a good way. It would introduce Sam Carpenter and her sister Tara, who would be played by Jenna Ortega. They would together be the new final girls. The movie would be directed by the film collective Radio Silence and written by Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt. James Vanderbilt, who prior had written the film Zodiac for David Fincher, which is a terrific movie. The movie starts basically that we get introduced to Tara, who is alone at home and Ghostface calls her. And Roger L. Jackson, he's just terrific in this scene. And it had been a long time since we heard him, because he wasn't the voice of Ghostface in the TV show, even though that voice actor did a good job too. There's no replacing Roger L. Jackson as Ghostface. He's just too iconic. And he toys with Tara until he attacks her, and this time around the movie does something different with the opening. The opening victim usually dies in the Scream movies, but here Tara survives. And the movie connects the story in a nice way because she survives, goes to the hospital, and Sam gets a phone call about it from Wes. And in this scene we are introduced to Sam and her boyfriend Richie. Wes tells Sam about the attack and that she should come over to Woodsboro as soon as possible, because the attacker wore a Ghostface mask. And when you get attacked by someone wearing a Ghostface mask in Woodsboro, something is up. And that's basically our setup. And it's a very good one too. But it does get better as soon as Sam arrives at the hospital, because we find out that she has issues, some mental health issues, and she is heavily medicating, and that she has kind of been estranged from Tara. And if you have seen this movie, you basically know where this goes. I was very excited for this movie, because even though my first Scream movie in the theater was Scream 4, I was excited to see where the new one goes, because I felt that the Scream franchise became a bit repetitive with Sydney. I actually wanted her to go and not be the main character anymore, because it became repetitive and we knew she would survive movie after movie. When you don't put your main characters or major characters in real danger, it becomes too safe. And that leads to predictability. Don't get me wrong, I do love Sydney. I think she's the most developed final girl ever in slasher history. But I do think that either killing her off or letting her have her happy ending, which she already had in Scream 3, would be a good idea for this franchise to evolve. So I was glad that she wasn't the main character here, she's just a supporting character, even though many fans are disappointed by that, and want her to be the final girl forever, it seems. I'm just joking. But this would also be the first Scream movie without Wes Craven. He is of course one of the masters of horror, and he left a big imprint on this franchise because he directed all of them up until Scream 4. And he definitely helped shaping this franchise into what it is. And it is of course a big hit, losing one of the best horror directors of all time. He's special. He didn't only create Ghostface or co-create Ghostface, he created Freddy Krueger. So he is a big staple in horror because he created two of the most famous characters in the horror genre. But ever since I saw the movie Ready or Not with Samara Weaving in the leading role, directed by Radio Silence, I thought that they would do a good job with a Scream movie, because that movie had a lot of in it that was reminiscent of Scream. Especially the tone, because the tone was also horror mixed with funny moments and comedy. And they definitely didn't disappoint with this movie. It brought back the right amount of everything. The gore, the suspense, the self-awareness, but not that it takes over the whole movie. It went back to the Scream elements we loved in Scream 1 and 2, but not in the same way as Scream 4. I think that Scream 5 does a little bit better with its characters. Sam and Tara really work as the final girls in this movie. They do great with their performances. Well, one of them does great, and that's Jenna Ortega. But Melissa Barrera, she isn't really bad in this movie. Many fans think she's bad, but I really don't think she's bad at all in this movie. She has a few weak spots in the acting, or maybe I should say one weak spot in the acting. And that's basically one line in the hospital when she is calling for police when Ghostface attacks her. Otherwise, I really think she pulls this off. I think many misplace bad acting with how the character is. She is playing a character that is heavily medicated. She takes prescription drugs to handle her hallucinations, and that makes her emotionally dissociated. And Melissa Barrera plays that in how she delivers the lines, how the character speaks, moves, behaves, and so on. So no, I don't really think that Melissa Barrera was bad in Scream 5. We also get introduced to the Meeks twins, Chad Meeks and Mindy Meeks, the nephew and niece of Randy Meeks, one of the most popular characters in Scream history. Mindy, she's a lot like Randy, while Chad is kind of very different. He's a football player, very athletic, and Mindy takes on the role of the horror expert. She is basically the modern day version of Randy. But in Chad we get a character that is a football player, like Casey's boyfriend was in the first movie, but we didn't get a lot of development with him because he was a part of the opening kill. But he wears a similar jacket that Casey's boyfriend wore. We also get Detective Judy back from Scream 4. She was introduced in Scream 4. And Wes is her son. I think it's the first time that a side character followed on to the sequel from a previous movie. Except of course from Randy. But that character kind of feels like he's bigger than he was. He was a side character, but he was a very popular and memorable character that fans still talk about these many years later. Then we kind of have the new friend group that are not as important as the core four, but are used as red herrings or to elevate the tension or give us clues about the killer and the killer's tactics. They are really not as developed as in the first movie. They don't really have a function as those minor characters in the first movie. Like for example, I think I mentioned Vince. He's related to a big legacy character from previous movies. Actually, the first movie, he's related to Stu Macher. And you think that there would be something there, that they would have written that character a bit differently to have some plot points surrounding that he's related to Stu Macher. But no, they just get rid of him, he's just a kill, and I feel he could have been a lot more than that. Here he only serves to reveal how Ghostface operates in this movie. And I feel that's a waste of a interesting character. Or at least a character that could have been interesting. Then there's Liv. She's Chad's girlfriend, and she's also used as a red herring. She's used as a character you should suspect throughout the movie. And she has no other function than that. She does have a funny scene by the end of the movie, but it's not enough. Also, I did mention Judy before, and this is a spoiler, so if you have not seen this movie, skip this part. Judy gets killed by Ghostface in this movie. But it's not that she gets killed that is my problem, it is how she gets killed. Ghostface surprises her while she's trying to save Wes that's in the house. So far so good, but it's done in broad daylight in a neighborhood with a lot of houses. A lot of people that could have just seen it happen before their eyes and just called for help. So I thought that was a bit of a stupid scene. And of course there is a much bigger character that dies in this movie. And that's Dewey Riley. When I saw this in the theater, I actually got mad. But I also understood why they were doing it. To raise the stakes of the franchise. It has been kind of low on the stakes since Scream 2. Because in Scream 3 and 4, the original trio, they kind of just felt untouchable. So even though I was mad about Dewey dying, I also appreciated it. He is of course one of the most beloved characters in the franchise, but I do think his death was necessary. So even though I hate that he was killed, I also think that is one of the more stronger parts about Scream 5. Which also reminds me about the reveal. The two ghost faces turn out to be Richie and Amber. And their motive is what makes this movie just stand out for me. Their motive is that they are trying to do a own sequel of Stab but killing people. Reuniting the original characters, killing them too, making their own great sequel to the Stab franchise. But their monologue is what's genius about it. They are kind of breaking the fourth wall, talking to the fans, the audience, talking about toxic fans. And their dialogue is really well written and talking to the fans directly. I just thought that was great. All in all, this was a great comeback for the franchise. And I am giving Scream 5 an 8 out of 10. So yeah, this is my last Scream video before I go and see Scream 7. I have already reviewed Scream 6 on my channel. I have a video on it. But I'm very excited for Scream 7. And of course I will make a video on it too. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe. Also, don't forget to smash the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my future videos. This has been Phantom Frame. Thank you so much for watching.
I'm introducing a new rule.
What would that be, huh? Well...
Never fuck with the daughter of a serial killer.